Hello everyone, my name is Judas Iscariot. Some call me Judas Iscariot. People remember me mainly because I betrayed Jesus, leading to his arrest and crucifixion. But my life was far more complicated than that. I once genuinely believed that following Jesus was part of God's plan, a mission of salvation. It's only later that I realized my choices had pushed me to a point of no return. I was born in Judea, in a small town called Kerioth. Life there was simple and humble. From a young age, I was taught to follow the law, to be faithful to God with absolute devotion. As I grew older, I became one of Jesus' disciples, walking with him for more than 3 years. Those days, I sometimes felt lucky, seeing the Son of God with my own eyes, hearing his teachings, feeling his love. But even during those times, doubts started to creep in. You see, Jesus' teachings were revolutionary. He talked about loving enemies, forgiving sinners, opposing worldly authorities. He said his kingdom was not of this world. Those words made me wonder, was the salvation we all expected just a distant dream? What worried me even more was that many people began to believe he was the Messiah, hoping he would become a political leader, overthrow Roman rule. But Jesus seemed indifferent to politics. That made me suspicious. Was his salvation merely spiritual? Or did he have a deeper purpose? As a Jew and a disciple, I hoped that Jesus would lead us to liberation, bring justice, restore our nation. But day after day, circumstances grew more tangled. Some began to doubt whether he was more than just a teacher. Others found him dangerous, worried he might spark a bigger conflict. I, too, started feeling anxious and restless. I remember one moment vividly when Jesus told us he would be crucified, and that on the third day, he would rise again. My heart was torn. Was he really going to walk that path? What would happen to us, his followers? I believed he had a divine plan, but at the same time, I felt things slipping out of control. I knew, as one of his disciples, I bore some responsibility. Sometimes I secretly wondered, if I could intervene, make things go smoothly somehow, maybe help fulfill God's plan faster should I do something. I began contemplating using certain means to prevent Jesus from being arrested. This inner struggle haunted me deeply. At first, I was conflicted should I betray him. If I told the religious leaders his whereabouts, perhaps I could stop him, protect our faith, and even safeguard him. But deep down, I knew any decision to do so meant betraying my friend, betraying my trust in him. Finally, overwhelmed by fear and doubt, I made that decision. I took silver coins, 30 of them, and found those who wanted to betray Jesus, guiding them to where he was. That night, my heart felt like it was being torn apart. I betrayed a friend. I felt helpless and overwhelmed, knowing full well that it would lead to a tragedy. I knew my choice would bring pain. That evening, I watched Jesus be arrested. I stood there in silence, my mind blank. I thought I could stop it, maybe even save him, but I was wrong. Fate had already been set in motion. Ever since that night, I've been tormented by remorse. I keep replaying those moments, the silver coins, the betrayal, that fateful decision. I wondered if I was fulfilling some divine design. But then again, I couldn't face myself. That period of my life dragged me into deep guilt and regret. And then, I heard the news, the resurrection of Jesus. Some said it was a miracle, but inside, I felt a tangled mess of emotions. I was a complex person, caught in a web of remorse and confusion. Was I truly fulfilling God's will, or was I blinded by greed and fear? I thought betraying him might serve a higher purpose, but the result brought only destruction. As all these events unfolded, I grew clearer. People are complicated. There's no absolute black or white. Some say I was driven by greed, but perhaps more deeply, I was seized by out-of-control fear of losing everything, of my faith shattering, or of an uncertain future. In the end, my actions changed everything. Jesus was crucified, and that scene still haunts me. I stood beneath that cross, feeling like my heart was being torn apart. Watching him die slowly, my soul also seemed to die. My betrayal not only destroyed my friend, but plunged me into profound loneliness and regret. After that, I left that land, reflecting on who I was, someone who believed in tradition, strength, and the idea that I could control everything. Now, I was left with deep introspection,